Oh, point number 6. Our commitment to a radical reconstruction is directly relevant here because it insists there can be no dealings, not only with every variety of Marxist and socialist ideology, but likewise with what in general can be called the hallucination or the demonic possession by the economy. Oh, it's the economy. We are dealing here with the idea that in both the individual and collective life, the economic factor is the important, real, and decisive one. That the concentration of every value and interest upon the field of economics and production is not the unprecedented aberration of modern Western man, but on the contrary, something normal. Not something that is possibly an ugly necessity, but rather something that should be desired and exalted. Both capitalism and Marxism are trapped in this closed and dark circle. We need to break this circle wide open. As long as we talk about nothing else but economic classes, work, wages, and production, and as long as we delude ourselves that real human progress and the genuine elevation of the individual is conditioned by a particular system of distribution of wealth and goods, and therefore has to do with poverty and ease, with the state of prosperity a la the United States, or with that of utopian socialism, we yet remain on the same level as that which we need to combat. We need to assert the following: that everything that relates to economy in the view of economic interest as a mere satisfaction of physical needs has had, has now, and always will have a subordinate role in a normal humanity. Beyond this sphere, we need to separate an order of superior values, which are political, spiritual, and heroic, in order that, as we already said, does not recognize or even admit proletarians or capitalists. It is only in terms of this order that it is proper to define the things for which it is worth living and dying, which establish a true hierarchy, which differentiate new ranks of dignity, and at the top, place on the throne a superior function of command, an imperium. In light of this, we need to eradicate many weeds that have taken root here and there, sometimes even in our own field. What, after all, is this chatter regarding a state of labor, of national socialism? Whoa, wait a minute. Of the humanism of work and its similar expressions. What are these more or less openly proclaimed appeals for an involution of politics into the economy, as if in a renewal of those problematic tendencies towards integral corporatism that was basically headless, but which in fascism fortunately found its way barred? Why do we see the slogan of socialization considered as a type of universal cure-all and the elevation of the social idea to a symbol of a new civilization that who now knows how is supposed to be beyond East and West? These slogans, we need to acknowledge it, are the dark sides present in quite a few minds that admittedly are in other respects found on our side. With this way of talking, they think that they are being faithful to a revolutionary commitment while they are only obeying suggestions stronger than they are. A degraded political environment is full of them. Among these suggestions, the social question re-enters. When will they finally realize the truth? Marxism did not arise because of the existence of a real social question, but the social question arises in countless cases only because Marxism exists. In other words, artificially or in terms that are almost always unsolvable because of agitators who are notorious for raising class consciousness. Lenin expressed himself very clearly about them when he refuted the spontaneous character of revolutionary proletarian movements. It is starting with this premise that we should act above all in the direction of an ideological deproletarianization by disinfecting those parts of the people which are still healthy of the socialist virus. Ooh, I don't know if I totally agree with Mr. Evola here, but hey, it's all right. Only then can one or another reform be studied and implemented without danger according to true justice. Thus, as a particular case, we can examine in what spirit the corporative idea can again be one of the foundations of reconstruction. I mean corporatism not so much as the state's general system of composition, an almost bureaucratic system that maintains the deleterious idea of classes arrayed against each other, but rather as a demand that we must reconstruct within each business that unity and solidarity of differentiated forces which have been prejudiced and shattered on the one hand by capitalist prevarication, which has been followed by the parasitic type of the speculator and finance capitalists. Oh, be careful. And by Marxist agitation on the other. We must bring business into the form of an almost military unity in which the spirit of responsibility, energy, and competence of the man who directs it will bring about the solidarity and loyalty of the working forces associated around him in a common enterprise. The only true task is, therefore, the organic reconstruction of business. To do this, there is no need for slogans intended to be fawned upon or for low propagandistic and electoral ends, which represent the spirit of sedition of the lowest strata of the masses, a spirit which is disguised as social justice. In general, we should restore the style of active impersonality, dignity, and solidarity, in producing a style that belonged to the ancient corporations of artisans and professionals. We need to outlaw the trade union movement with its struggle and its acts of real blackmail. You have, though, unskilled labor, anyway, of which we meet too many examples today. But let us say again, we need to reach this point by starting from the inside. The important point is that against every form of resentment, Nietzsche, and social antagonism, everyone should recognize and love his own station, one that fits his own nature, also recognizing in this way the limits within which he can develop his own possibilities and achieve his own perfection. Because an artisan that acquits himself perfectly in his function is without doubt superior to a king that rejects and does not live up to his dignity. In particular, we can allow a system of technical competences and cooperative representation to replace the partisan parliamentary system, but we should keep in mind that the technical hierarchies on the whole can signify only a step in the integral hierarchy. They concern the order of means to be subordinated to the order of ends, to which alone corresponds the really political and spiritual part of the state. Speaking instead of a state of labor or of production is the same as making a whole of the part, as clinging to what amounts to a human organism reduced to its merely physical and vital functions. Our standing can be neither such an obtuse and dark thing, nor the social idea. The true antithesis in front of East as well as West is not the social idea, it is instead the integral hierarchical idea. Confronted with that, no uncertainty is acceptable. And I think here, maybe I'll go to some of the notes here. He's referring to state of labor, the fascists. Sometimes refer to the regime as the state of labor, implying that it was primarily a worker state. This became an even greater ideal in the post-fascist Republic of Italy, right, the RSI. So obviously, I know this is going to sound bad, but you need to have socialism, right? It's always what kind of socialism? And of course, Lenin, interesting. Now, with the Marxist idea of like Marxism, now I'm not gonna. There are other critiques of capitalism that, in many ways, were more. I would just think it should be more productive than what you had in Marxism, but there are critiques and analysis in there that is valid. So, what is to be done? Oh, comrade. The present day readers may be tempted to think of the term cooperative and corporation as something relating to companies or business ventures. Right, exactly not. Evola, however, uses this term as the fascists, right, corporatism, right, to describe a type of society in which its citizens are organized into groups based on the function they perform for the body of the entire society itself, such as agriculture, the military, or administration, right? Totalitarian. That's what that actually means. Right? Oh, resentment, right? Literally resentment from the French. Of course, this is a Nietzsche nod, right? So just the endless repetition of the disgust that one feels towards a person or thing, resulting in a deep-seated aversion that becomes part of a person's essential nature. Well, I don't think you can really avoid resentment. It's all very well and good to say that you are not driven by that, but yeah. What was it? Human, all too human. Right. There's competencies here refers to specialized areas of professional knowledge. Anyway, that was point 6.